Hello everyone, my name is Maggie and welcome to my channel. If you're new, please take a second to hit that subscribe button and follow me on my social media channels. So I love Q&A videos and I have wanted to do one for a while, but I was very insecure about how many people actually cared about what I had to say. So over the New Year weekend / week, I asked people on my Instagram and my Tumblr any questions they had for me about queer stuff or, body positivity or fat positivity, beauty, hair, whatever. And a lot of these were very queer focused, which is amazing because I definitely want to make more queer content on my channel this year. So let's get into the questions. This question is from neen.queen on Instagram, and they asked, if you're comfortable sharing, could you explain what queer means to you and queer fashion? So what queer means to me, I use queer to identify myself as sort of an umbrella term that encompasses both my sexuality and gender, because I don't quite feel like I'm cisgender and I'm definitely not straight. So for me personally, I use queer to mean, to encompass all those things, maybe leave in some ambiguity, because people don't really need to know all that. All they need to know is that I am queer. And if they want to ask more, they can, but it's just easier and helps me connect with people in the queer community. I use queer as kind of, again, an umbrella term for LGBTQIA and anything else that would fall under queerness. Not everyone agrees with that. There is a lot of debate in the LGBTQ plus community about that, and that is okay. If you don't want to use it, I'm not saying you have to use it. If I ever identify anyone as queer and they don't want to be called that, I will change it immediately. I'll never, here's the thing, it's like I never want to give anyone a label that is so specific that I am mislabeling them. So if I see someone with a woman, I don't want to necessarily say that she's a lesbian, because she might be bisexual, she might be pansexual. So I would just say, okay, that woman is definitely queer. Queer fashion, I feel like, has some other interpretations too. So, queer fashion, like just kind of vaguely, is the fashion of anyone who is queer. So that's what queer fashion is. I tag things on Instagram as queer fashion because I'm a queer person and I wear clothes. So that is, to me, queer fashion. There's tons and tons of literature and things to read about, specific, lesbian style, lesbian fashion, cis gay man fashion. There's a lot. So that's kind of why I use the term queer fashion, not only because I'm queer, but because it is an all-encompassing term. And queer fashion could mean trans fashion. It could mean non-binary fashion. It could mean so many things. So it is essentially any fashion that a queer person wears, I guess. But in general, queer people dress in so many different ways, and they're all wonderful, and I love being a part of that community and seeing that community and being inspired by that community. So that's a long answer, but that's kind of what queer fashion means to me. Next question. Oh my god, I'm so thirsty. So this question is from marianberry.42 on Instagram, and she said, what's your fave part about being queer? Blushy smile emoji, 3 rainbow emojis. My favorite part of being queer is the community, honestly. It's having things in common with people, maybe not exactly, but having the same feelings, the same struggles, having the same kind of inside jokes, just being part of that community is one of the reasons I love being queer. I've also always been like a different person. I've always liked things that people don't like. So I feel like it kind of fits in with my personality. Like when I came out, no one of my friends at least were really surprised, because I've always been kind of a different person. So I don't know. My favorite part of being queer is the ability to express myself and not be put into so many gender boxes, and just the community. That's it. This question is from _Leah Catherine_ on Instagram. And they asked, how did coming out to your parents go? I'm very nervous that my family is conservative. So I come from a very small conservative town. My dad is more conservative than my mom, and I told my mom first. So I had my first girlfriend, and she was coming to dinner at my parents' house because she was going to hang out with her friends during spring break, kind of near my area where my parents live. And I remember sitting on the couch and I was just kind of like talking to my mom, having my coffee, and I mentioned, I was like, she's actually my girlfriend. And my mom seemed like okay with it. She's the kind of person who is like, of course I'm okay with it. I accept you. I love you. But then of course, you know, has to work through things like I think most parents do. So she just kind of asked me a couple questions about like, am I gonna keep dating men? Do I still like men? Would I date a man in the future? Those kind of questions. And I was like, I don't know, because at that point I didn't. I just knew that I was interested in women, but I had just been with men quite often up until that point. My dad, I was kind of pressured by my first girlfriend into telling my dad because she was coming to stay and I hadn't told him yet. And he's a very gruff, loving man, and we just don't talk about personal things that often. So I remember going into the kitchen and being like, Dad, you know, this was after she'd already come over for dinner. She was gone. And she had a really nice time, and my dad was really nice to her, and it was a really pleasant experience. So I felt like good about telling him. So I was like, Dad, I was like, she's not actually my friend, she's my girlfriend. And I remember standing in the kitchen, he was like making his coffee in the Keurig, and he looked at me and he went, really? And I don't know what that really was about. If it was about really you're dating a woman, if it was a really you chose her. But I was like, yes, and everyone knows but you. Bye, and like just like ran out of the room. So he's never mentioned it to me. I have a wonderful partner of 3 years now who is completely welcome in my home. She came with me for Christmas. Like, they always ask about her. My dad really likes her. So it all kind of worked out. So they're not, you know, actively like, you know, going to Pride with me, but they are very supportive of me and Stacy and good. So yeah, my dad is definitely a conservative person. He voted for Trump. Like, he's a conservative guy, but it really has been, of course, not the most wonderful, you know, accepting, but it is the best I think I could have hoped for, and I'm really happy with how my whole family has, you know, not only accepted me, but accepted Stacy. That makes me emotional. Oh, it's really nice. I'm gonna leave some resources below if you're having trouble coming out to your parents that might help you, because it is scary, and I'm just so glad that it's over. And I want everyone to feel like they're comfortable and safe. So yeah, I'll leave some links below. This is from Tumblr. This is from Daffodilly. They asked, do you feel like the plus size queer community is underrepresented on YouTube? Like that other YouTubers don't really include them in collabs, or think of how it affects their experience as a queer person. What? I need to read that again. Of course, yes, the majority of people on YouTube are not plus size, and I'd say, I mean, I can't say, you know, who's queer and who is not, but I think there's a mix of people who are queer, but there's definitely not a ton of people who are plus size and queer. There aren't even a lot of people who are plus size, so it's a very small group. I'm not sure of everyone's business in the plus size YouTube community, but me, myself, I'm queer. I know Carissa, a Fat Girl Flo, is queer. So there is some representation, but of course, no, there's not enough at all. We are completely underrepresented. In regards to people collabing with other people, I don't know. I don't really have an answer for that. I'd love to collab with more people. I'm a very shy person, and when I do things, I like them to be like 100% right. So it is difficult for me to collab because I'm very nervous and wary about making not great content. But of course, I'm open to collabing with other plus size YouTubers who are also queer, and also plus size YouTubers who aren't queer, and also straight size YouTubers who are or aren't queer. But yeah, I would say completely underrepresented, but I'm happy to be representation. So if anyone wants to join me, go ahead. This question is from Instagram, but they want to remain anonymous, which is fine. So they asked me, I'm a bigger girl, and the girl I'm dating, she's skinnier, and I don't know, I feel like she's so fragile, and I'm so heavy, and there's not that many media representation of diverse-looking LGBT couples that I feel a bit more insecure about it. I feel like I worded this question wrong. I hope it makes sense. It makes sense. Don't worry. I have been dating thin people my whole life. Pretty much everyone except for one person I've dated has been thin. My current partner is thin. My last girlfriend was like so super thin and athletic. And I think, you know, you just have to remember that people are pretty sturdy unless, you know, your partner has some kind of disability or, you know, medical condition. they're probably pretty sturdy people. And I think the biggest thing you can do is communicate and listen to them when they say, like, we can do that. Like, I feel comfortable doing that. I can handle that. I can lift that, that kind of stuff. So keeping that communication open is definitely great. Because I live in a smaller fat body, I'm only a size 20, I am definitely heavier than my partner, but I'm not, you know, I'm not a super fat, so I'm not sure the exact situation of this person. But, you know, with any relationship issue, you just have to be open and communicate and know that your partner's going to tell you exactly what they think they can and can't do, and if they realize they can't do that, they need to communicate that with you. Unfortunately, there is not much media representation around this stuff, which is why I'm thinking about starting a couples Instagram with Stacy and I, because I am bigger than she is. We are both quite short, but I am bigger than she is, and I'd love to profile other couples who have different weights, and let me know if you'd like that, because I'm willing to start that. I think that'd be really cool. And I would love to see more diverse bodies in queer couples, because it is kind of always like they're both thin, one has short hair, one has long hair, or they're both thin and they both have long hair, or they're both thin and one is tall. Like, that's a lot of the representation. So let me know if you'd be interested in that Instagram, and if you have any wise words or comments or advice for people who have smaller partners, you can leave that in the comments. Okay, well, I think I've just about talked your ear off, so I'll let you go. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions for a Q&A in the future, you can always leave them below. You can message me on Instagram, tweet at me, leave me a comment on Facebook, or send me a message on Tumblr. And all those links are below and on the screen right now for my social media. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for your support, and I will see you next time.